Our unconscious brain is habit-driven and can process a huge amount of information very quickly, due to its ability to recognize patterns and use them to assign people, things and situations to specific categories. However, the assumptions we make are not always correct and likely to be based on experiences we have gained from our cultural background, media coverage, and other channels. This may result in unconscious bias or implicit prejudice, which uses shortcuts based on our personal stories, socializations, and cultural norms to make snap decisions about the world around us. And we all have our biases. They are filters through which we see the world around us. Bias can be about race, gender, class, education, disability, so basically about everything that is different from our social norms. This has to do with the affinity bias, which is a hardwired preference to respond positively to persons that look, sound, and act like we do. Basically, so-called mini-me's. To understand this concept, a quick introduction to the ladder of inference may be helpful. The ladder of inference describes how we have a natural tendency to jump to conclusions when we do not fully understand a situation. First, we observe something. Then we filter this experience and add meaning to it based on our own cultural beliefs, norms, and previous experiences. After that, we make assumptions to fill in any gaps and draw conclusions. Finally, we act based on these conclusions and beliefs. So unconscious bias does not use analysis, but rather instinct that allows us in milliseconds to judge and categorize persons and situations, connect them to our learned ideas and constructs about what is good or bad. Here is an example. Look at this picture. What are your first associations? Many people would climb up the ladder of inference within a second and know the answer. This is a picture of the Ku Klux Klan, they would say, the American white supremacist hate group with their typical hoods and white robes. However, jumping to conclusions too quickly without sufficient evidence is often misleading and wrong. Unconscious bias needs to be identified, addressed, acknowledged, and mitigated against. And this is how you can do it. Apply the DIVE strategy. DIVE stands for describe, interpret, verify, and evaluate. Step 1. Describe. Look at a picture, person or situation and describe what you see, sticking to objective and observable facts. Step 2. Interpret. Think of the various interpretations as to what is going on. Draw on a wide range of assumptions that come into your mind to describe this situation. Step 3. Verify. Now double-check whether your interpretations are correct. Talk to cultural and knowledgeable informants and draw on reliable and multiple sources that give you trustworthy insights into the context to understand it and look beyond the seemingly obvious. Step 4. Evaluate. The final step should help you to evaluate your own interpretation and engage in a reflective loop. How do you feel about your judgment now that you have more information? How accurate was your first impulse? What do you learn from that? To get back to our picture, what this is really all about is the Semana Santa procession, with people wearing the traditional garment of the Holy Week in Spain. The so-called Nazarenos, based on the people of Nazareth, in their tall, pointy hats and matching robes with their faces completely covered, are frequently confused with the KKK. This example illustrates that unconscious bias is likely to color our assumptions and decisions without realizing it. To lessen the impact of implicit prejudice, it is important to raise awareness of it by deliberately slowing down decision making, reconsidering reasons for decisions and assumptions, questioning cultural stereotypes and identifying our own biases, and verifying interpretations. The dive strategy may serve as a useful tool to differentiate between description, interpretation, and evaluation, and is an effective approach to change one's micro-behaviors. It encourages us to take more informed decisions based on analysis rather than instinct.